Everything looks worse in black and white.
Welcome. It's Tuesday at 12 o'clock, and this is Aperture and Shutter Speed, the photography radio show where you can learn and share your love for photography. I'm your host, Chelsea Williams. I'm a professional portrait photographer in Conroe, Texas. If you have any questions or comments during the show, please find us on Facebook, Aperture and Shutter Speed, and just drop us a little note. Today I have JT Thomas with JT Photographics, and JT is a member of both the Woodlands Photography Club and the Woodlands Camera Club. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself and give us some insight on those groups. So welcome, JT.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
First, before we get into that, I'm going to just give a few announcements of what's going on locally, how you can get involved if you want to learn a little bit more about photography. The Woodlands Camera Club today is having composition, the fine art of seeing from 2 to 4. So I don't know if you can jump in. That's today, right?
No, that was Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah.
What day is it today? It was on their website. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Well.
But we have it every month from on the second Sunday of the month from 2 to 4.
Okay. Maybe somebody should change that on the website.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay. Tell me if I'm right on this one. How about July 16th? Learning to shoot.
Yes.
All right. 7 to 9, learning to shoot. That's the special interest group on July 16th. And July 20th, processing your photos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Monday night.
All right.
Yes.
You got to correct me if I'm wrong, definitely. Yeah. So if you want more information, the woodlandscameraclub.org. You can find out more about everything there, and I'm sure there's an email address if you want to verify anything.
Yes.
Also, Kathy Adams Clark is doing some different workshops, and I know this one's tonight. For sure, she's doing 6:30 to 9:30 is intermediate photography in the Woodlands. I know you have to go to her website and register. I think there's probably still time. And then July 15th is photographing at night in Kemah. And I know that would be a little bit of a drive, but I think that would be worth it. That would be very cool to take pictures in Kemah with Kathy. So it's just kathyadamsclark.com if you want to register for those. And right now you can register for Photogenesis with the TPPA. Just tppa.org, and Photogenesis is September 30th through October 12th, October 2nd in San Marcos. Also, I noticed on the PPA website, if you're a member, it's free for members. They're doing webinars, which is kind of, you don't have to go anywhere. Sit at your computer and learn a few things. Today, at 2 o'clock, it's called, it is legal to use drones in my business. Now what? So I guess they're going to be talking about drone photography and the ins and outs of that. So just PPA website, and if you remember, it's free. Also, a cool webinar for the PPA on July 19th is maximizing your membership. So if you're a member and you don't understand how you can get all the learning and everything out of it, register for that. They'll just send you a way to link into the webinar. Also, if you have a PPA membership, PhotoVision is completely free. PhotoVision used to be a paid subscription, and it's completely free for PPA members. So it's just streaming videos of master photographers that are walking you through how they do a photo shoot, walking you through their studio, and just giving you some really awesome tips. And that's something you can do anytime on your free time. So, it doesn't matter if it's 11 o'clock at night. If you just want to watch a little video and learn something, I definitely recommend that, PhotoVision. Let's see. Okay. I have to get to the question I always ask, and that's, what kind of pictures have you been taking lately? So, everybody who's listening, I want you to go to our Facebook page and either tell us what kind of pictures you've been taking, or I would love to see some pictures. Post some pictures so that we can see. I'm going to ask you, JT, what kind of pictures have you been taking?
Well, I hate to say it, but most of the pictures I've been taking lately have been on a house we're building in the hill country. So most of it is not very artistic. But being in the hill country, most of the pictures I've been taking artistically have been in areas over there. So there's a lot to take pictures of over there.
I think you're going to make everybody jealous.
Yeah, that's a really pretty area, and there's always something to shoot over there.
Oh, yeah. You will never run out of things to shoot.
That's true.
And you know what? If you're taking pictures of a house being built, I mean, there's a lot of architectural photography that you could be doing, and just kind of the process. I think it's cool to photograph the process of houses being built, so you have something to look through. Is kind of neat.
Well, and also, I think a lot of people don't think about it, but it's nice to be able to take pictures and find out where all the plumbing is in the walls and the wires and stuff like that, because 5 years later, if you're wanting to add a electrical outlet or hang a TV or something like that, it's nice to be able to get those kind of pictures out of the way.
That's very smart. I've never actually thought about it that way, but that's very smart. So what's... Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just being a little bit nosy. So you're moving out there, and you just love photography so much that you went...
Yeah. I can't say that I moved there because of the photography, but that helped. But
yeah, absolutely.
The biggest drawback is the camera club and the photography club that are here in the Woodlands, and just the amount of people and the how nice they are. That's the part I'm going to miss, to be honest. Now, I've heard that there are some photography clubs in San Antonio and San Marcos and some other areas over there, so I'll be looking at those. But they're going to have a high bar because of the clubs that are here in the Woodlands are so good. So
maybe you'll just be inviting some members over for workshops at your house.
They've already said that they're going to come and camp out. So yeah.
They're not even waiting for an invitation.
No.
Oh, well, the photography I've been doing lately is not architectural. I don't take many pictures of houses these days. But something really cool that happened this past week is that I was invited to come to the hospital and take a picture, of a new baby coming into the world. And I thought that was amazing. I loved it. And just, watching the family come together ahead of time and anticipation and the excitement. And, I could, before she delivered, I could see the baby moving inside of her stomach. And then just moments later, there it is,
Wow.
And I loved that. And I loved being in that moment with them and taking pictures of a baby that's just moments old. And so that was my cool moment lately.
That's pretty cool. It's hard to top that.
Yeah,
one.
and it's almost like, I do it for a living, but I love it so much that I'm like, I would just do it, I would just do it to get to experience it because it's amazing. And just seeing the family come together and everything, I loved it.
I bet.
I loved it. So anybody else that's listening, we definitely want to know what you've been taking pictures of, and let us know on our Facebook page, and stay with us. I'm going to ask JT some questions about his photography background and some stuff on the camera clubs and the photography club. We'll be right back with Aperture and Shutter Speed.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, and we're looking for more talk shows and volunteer DJs for our music shows. If you're interested in having your own talk show on Lone Star, or always wanted to live out your dream of being a music DJ, contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com/contact us, or call the station at 936-647-5747 for more information.
Welcome back to Aperture and Shutter Speed. I'm Chelsea Williams here with JT Thomas, and we're talking photography. So JT, can you give us some background about yourself and how you first became interested in photography? What drew you to it?
Yeah, I guess, it was one of those, there was a friend of mine in high school that had a dark room in his basement and had a really nice Nikon camera, and I used to go around with him, but I never did have a camera until after I got married. My wonderful wife gave me one for Christmas one year, so that was what started it, and that was back in the mid '70s, and I've been taking pictures ever since. And Now, I don't know how many cameras I've had over the years, but it's been more than I probably should have. But, so I've been, that's kind of what got me started on it. But also the job that I've had has been, had a lot of international travel. And so I never went anywhere without my camera. You know, I tried to take pictures where I could, and that was another one of those deals where it was interesting to be able to travel to so many countries and take pictures of things. And it's you know, since I've gone to digital, the quality of the pictures is so much better. There's a lot of countries that I went to when I was still shooting film that I wish I could go back and shoot with digital, because I think you can get a lot better photographs. And you're not waiting until 2 weeks later when you get them back and find out that something was wrong or you didn't quite have it tack sharp, that sort of thing. So
you don't miss film?
Not exactly. I really enjoyed the process. I had my own dark room in a couple of houses that I've had over the years, but I can remember taking as much as 2 hours to go through a picture and using contrast filters and sending it through several different times and dodging and burning and trying to get the print just perfect on a negative. And after you get done, you got a nice photo, but it took you 2 hours. I can do the same thing in Lightroom or Photoshop now in about 20 seconds. And that's the part that I don't miss about the film days. So, yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. A lot of people get nostalgic about it, but you're right. It's much faster and much more efficient these days. And
better. You know, it's one of those deals also that I look at a lot of the software packages and the plugins that you get for Photoshop and Lightroom, and they have this thing where you can add grain. I spent all of my time in the dark room and with film trying to figure out how to get rid of grain. I'm not sure I want to put it back in my pictures.
I know people that do, but I've never got that either.
I still like a good clean picture if I can get it. Yeah.
You know, I think you're very smart for taking your camera with you during your primary career, because, you know, I've met people who they've gotten really into photography now, and they've told me, when I worked at such and such place, I traveled everywhere. And then they didn't get into photography till after that. And I'm like, oh, wow, you missed out on all these amazing opportunities, and it just kills me. So good for you for at least being proactive and shooting wherever you went.
Yeah, it was always one of those that they expected me to work when I got there, so I did have to take care of business. But, you know, when I could get the job done early, or I had an extra weekend, I would take a trip, a sightseeing trip to do some things. And so I've been to multiple places in Africa and the Middle East and the Far East. And so, it's I've been very fortunate to be able to see some of the things I've seen. So,
So how would you classify yourself as a photographer? You know, you've done all this travel photography, but I look at your website and you've done really cool graphic art too. So what would you say that, would you even label yourself at all?
Well, I don't know about a label, because I tend to think that everybody has their own things that they like. And I like graphic art. I like a bit of abstract photography. I'll be taking pictures in particular of architecture, and where people are trying to get the entire building, and I'm looking for an architectural element to take a picture of, and not necessarily the architectural building. And so that's the kind of stuff that I like. And so I'm somewhat atypical when it comes to that. So I enjoy that type of deal. I do like landscapes. I don't do a lot of people photography, and it's more just I'm a little awkward to go up and ask somebody if I can take their picture or just take their picture. And although I do like to see photography of people, it's just not something that it's out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah. But
well, I'm going to keep asking you about your website. So or images that I've seen on your website. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share that with everybody so they can kind of follow along.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's jtphotographics.com, right?
Correct.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So now when I'm talking about all these cool graphic images, they won't just wonder what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, how did you, I see these very colorful swirls and all this stuff. How did you come up with that? How is that what was the original image on those?
Yeah, and actually that website, I believe, has got, there'll be two pictures. One of them looks like a standard photo, and one of them looks like a swirl or a twirl, and that's what they call it, is twirling. And there's actually an action that you can download. There's even a Facebook page called Twirl On or something like that. But it's an action that goes through and essentially does some manipulation to any picture, and does some things with blend modes and that sort of thing to get it to look the way that it does.
Right.
And some of those pictures, you think you know what it's going to look like when you twirl it, and you go, didn't look like that. So,
right.
And I don't do a whole lot of that anymore, but they're some of them are fairly striking when you get done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you go online and just do a Google search on twirling action for Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, and it'll take you through it. So there's several videos of it that you can see on YouTube, and also the action. You can find the action to download.
Right. That's definitely just something for fun that anybody can do.
Oh yeah,
for fun.
It's somewhat addicting, especially when you first start doing it. But it's like anything else. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, it's probably going to get a little old.
Right.
But I think I like trying to do something new like that, and you try it and see what you can come up with. And also, a lot of people take it to the next level and add a little extra Photoshop work, or some of those ones that were on my website were actually done in a kaleidoscope. So I did a twirl and then did a kaleidoscopic composition of the twirl itself, and so that makes for a different picture than what you would get out of the regular action. So
Very neat. I'm backtracking just a little bit. You talked about all your travels to all these different countries, and then you also have some pretty cool landscapes around the U.S. and look like some reenactments and stuff like that. So out of all these different places that you've been and you've done all these different things, did you have like one favorite spot that was like your favorite spot to photograph?
Oh, well, I think probably Africa, in Kenya and Zimbabwe. Went to several parks in multiple times there. Again, it was back when I was shooting film, and I don't think I've actually got any of those on my website, but I do have some quite a few pictures of lions and zebra and giraffe and that sort of thing. And I think that's one of those bucket list deals.
Absolutely.
That if you get a chance to go, don't miss it. And it's well worth the trip. And that was another one of those that I was over there for work, and I got done early, literally walked down the street to a travel agent and said, is there anything, where I could go out to one of the parks? And it was relatively cheap while I was already there, and especially on a last minute, because if they've got room on the plane and room at the lodge that you're staying in, it was really cheap. If I would have tried to book that here in the U.S., it would have been thousands of dollars. It was hundreds of dollars. So it made a really big difference. And
how fortunate for you. I know a lot of people spend $10,000 going on safari per person. So that's very cool that you got to experience that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people miss that that kind of last minute thing, whatever country that you're in. But go down and talk to one of the local travel agents and see if there's a tour or something going on that you can jump in on. And a lot of times you can get them for next to nothing because they've got an open seat. So
yeah, that's my personality. I've always been spontaneous in the fact that, okay, we have time, let's do it. Let's go do this thing, I was with a friend in Bangkok one time, and we just went to the regional airport, bought a ticket for Phuket and went. And then a few days later, we went to the airport and bought a ticket back. And it wasn't planned out. We just did it, and it was so much fun. And my husband's opposite. My husband travels all the time for work, and he pretty much goes to work and goes to the hotel He doesn't like to wander. He just wants to sleep. And me, I'm talking to him like, don't you want to get out and like do something? And no. So of all your trips and these amazing safari and all these cool things, you said it was back in the film days. So do you have just loads of prints somewhere? What did you do with them?
Yeah, I've got probably more prints on my wall than I should. I'm running out of wall. That's why I'm building another house. Not really, but it almost seems like it. But I typically try to print out some things, and I've actually got it's kind of like one of these room screen dividers that you can set up that divides one room to the other, but it's actually got places where you can put photos in it. So you can put 12 or 15 photos into the screen, and so those are easy enough where you can swap them out and you're not putting another hole in your wall and things like that. And so you can kind of rotate pictures in and out. And I think that people who are looking for what to do with their pictures, if they're all on your computer and you're the only one looking at it, then nobody else is seeing your art. So getting them on paper and getting them up on a wall is that's, you're missing part of the fun if you're not doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
When I first started learning about photography, it was a requirement that we printed on slides.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think it's funny because, way back in the day, people would make slides. They would invite their friends over, come look at my vacation pictures and I'll give you a slideshow. And I mean, it's hysterical to think about now. People instantly post it to Facebook and the whole world sees it. But that used to be the thing, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Invite your friends over to look at all your slides. But I still have some boxes of slides somewhere, just for keepsakes.
Well, I've gone through an exercise to digitize all of my film and slides, and so that was painful. But it's once you can get them digitized and get them into something like Lightroom, which has a database to organize and find them again, really makes a big difference. And somebody can say, do you have a picture of a zebra? Or do you have any pictures of Thailand? Or do you have any pictures in Kenya? I can within 2 seconds find every picture that I took in Kenya, or all of them that have, zebras in them. Yeah. And even though they were done on film, since I've digitized them, I can find them, I can print them again, I can do some manipulation in Photoshop and Lightroom to be able to improve the quality of them. Whereas if they would have been color, especially color slides, there's not really a whole lot that you could do with color slides to get them any better. When you processed them, you printed them the way they were. So now you've got some options. Yeah.
A few years ago, I bought a scanner just that scans negatives and makes them digital, and I loved that. I loved being able to pull all these old images out and just have them on my hard drive. And you're right, you can enhance them. You can just label them to keep them so you know where they are. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
So I also saw on some of your work that you're doing infrared landscapes.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people do style of infrared, but they're really post-processing. But you actually shoot infrared, correct?
Yes. Yeah, and I was one of those there that I think if you've been in photography very long, you upgrade your equipment, and I tend to try to keep my regular camera I normally shoot with and a backup camera in case something goes wrong. If you go on a trip to Kenya and you've got one camera and it flakes out on you, then you want to have a backup body. So I always had a backup body, but after you go through and you upgrade 2 or 3 times, you've got backup bodies sitting there that aren't doing anything in a drawer. And I just decided to take one of those, send it off to a company that does the infrared conversion, and they essentially remove the filter from your sensor that filters out infrared. So now all the infrared is there, and then they put another filter on top of it that limits the visible light that comes into it. So the nice thing about that is that the same digital camera that you had, you can shoot it just like any other camera, and you're not having to take a picture that takes 30 or 60 seconds to get an exposure. You can shoot it just like a regular camera. You can look at the back of the camera. It's got a bit of a color shift to it, but then you bring it into Photoshop and Lightroom and do whatever you want to with it.
Right.
So take an old camera. It costs you $300-$400 to get them converted, and you've got a camera that now you can start using again and take pictures that you've never taken before.
Yeah. And that infrared on your landscapes, it's so distinctive and so, I don't know, it stands out.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It definitely stands out, and it's interesting. And I've really never heard of anybody having their camera adapted like that, and I love that idea. So maybe somebody listening will get a hunch to go out and do that.
Yeah, and I did a regular DSLR converted, an old Nikon D200, but they actually have some, they can do conversions on some of the point and shoot cameras. And so if you got one of those that's sitting in a drawer, you can go on, I wish I could trying to remember the name of the company that I used, and I can't place it. I'll try to find it, and you can put it on your website.
Okay,
but,
absolutely.
But you can check to see whether your old model camera they can do a conversion on.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a little bit of break, and when we get back, I want to ask you all sorts of questions about your involvement in the Woodlands Photography Club and the Woodlands Camera Club. So stick it with us. We'll be right back on Aperture and Shutter Speed.
We're starting to film our talk shows and putting them on YouTube. Your favorite Lone Star Community Radio show can be seen on YouTube under our Lone Star Community Radio channel and on City of Conroe's Our City TV channel on Suddenlink Channel 12. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see the most recently released videos and find more information online at irlonestar.com/TV.
Welcome back to Aperture and Shutter Speed. I'm Chelsea, and I'm here with JT Thomas. He was telling us all about his personal work in photography before the break, and now I'm going to pick at him a little bit to get some information about his involvement in the Woodlands Photography Club and the Woodlands Camera Club. I actually met him at the Camera Club, so I think that's a good place to meet. Photography Club, sorry. Okay, they both talk about photography.
They do, yes.
But definitely that's a good place to meet like-minded people and find some common interest.
Yes.
So you're involved with both of them, even if I can't get the name straight and I keep messing stuff up.
That's okay.
You can keep me in line because you do both of them.
Well, and I think it's one of those that there are a lot of people that are members of both of those clubs, and there's information in both of them. The cost of membership is next to nothing for either one of the clubs, and so I think if you're in the Woodlands, Conroe, Montgomery County area, it's well worth joining up. There's so many excellent photographers. They have good speakers. They've got good events, field trips, workshops, special interest groups. I think if you're not taking advantage of that and you like photography at all, you're probably missing a lot, because they've got something for everyone, from the person with a point and shoot that doesn't know anything except how to turn the camera on, to stuff for a professional photographer, how to do some lighting, how to do stuff with Photoshop and Lightroom. There's a lot of stuff to learn there. So
absolutely. What first made you interested and sparked your interest to go and try it out for the first time?
Well, I moved to the Houston area, coming back from Singapore. I lived in Singapore for 3 years, and when I came back, the job was in the Woodlands, or wasn't in the Woodlands, but was in the Houston area, and I started looking for places to go, and we found a house that we had built in the Woodlands, and started looking. There were several camera clubs, so just decided to drop in and see how they were, and haven't left either one of them yet. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
apparently you really love it because you're involved and you help with the special interest groups, and you've helped with some workshops and things like that. So tell me a little bit about I I guess, your Lightroom workshops. You help do that, right?
Yes, I do day-long workshops. I've got 2 curriculum that I do, and one of them is kind of an intro to Lightroom, and it's primarily focused around the organizational side of Lightroom and how to organize your pictures and do updates and how you do your folder structures and how you do your catalog and that sort of thing. And that one, and then at the end of that one, we kind of touch on some of the stuff in the develop module, how to adjust your pictures. The second one is kind of the flip side of that. So we do a little bit of a recap on the organizational piece, but the bulk of the content is on the develop module and what you do with your pictures when you get them in there.
Right.
So.
And there is some really incredible things you can do with the develop settings in Lightroom.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, I've been using Photoshop since Photoshop 4 or 5, somewhere in there. So for a long time, and but I probably do 90% of my work in Lightroom and 10% in Photoshop anymore. So yeah, the Photoshop Lightroom gets better and better every version that they come out with, and but there's still some things that you can't do in Lightroom that you need Photoshop for, and I think that there's need for both. One of the things that since I was buying both Lightroom and Photoshop and upgrading when the new versions came out, when they did the subscription service, which is $10 a month for the photography, you get both of them. I actually came out ahead because I was paying more than that for upgrading each of my versions every year and a half or whatever it was that they were doing, and now you get it for $10 a month, and you can just you get the full blown Photoshop and Lightroom. So, and they keep all the updates coming, and yeah, it's very good.
I've signed up for their $10 a month subscription service too, and I still have the older version of Photoshop on my computer because I have a few plugins that are outdated, I guess. Yes. So they only work with those older versions, and so I kind of use that sometimes, but I also like having the subscription to have all the updates and all the new stuff too.
Yes. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. I've been watching when y'all do these workshops and stuff, and I noticed that, it was $15 for the whole day, and that included lunch or something. That's insane. That's so cheap.
Yes. Yes, I am what's called a cheap date. So, yeah. I mean, really, that's a reflection on the Camera Club and the way that they do things. They're not trying to build up a big revenue. Right. And everything that they pull in, they're throwing it back into the Camera Club and, buying projectors. And, we had a workshop, one of the workshops that we had just recently where they were doing mounts for photos on what they call ultra board. And it's about a 1/4 inch thick foam board that you mount your photos to. And we did everybody came in with their photos, and everybody mounted stuff, and all the mounts and stuff were paid for by the Camera Club out of the dues. So yeah, it really is, and everybody in that club is willing to help the other people. There's nobody with an ego that says, "Oh no, that's my trade secret," or I don't have any. Right. I don't want. If I tell you that, then you're going to know everything I do. Everybody is just so willing to help and take care of the rest of the group and bring everybody up. And I've seen a big difference in the quality of the photography over the years in both of the clubs that has made a big difference in how well everybody is doing with their photography. So right,
because I think it's beneficial to the whole group if everybody improves, and I don't know why anybody would try to hold somebody back, because it makes everybody look better if you can improve together and kind of that mentality of learning and just openness to it. And I love the idea of having a community of people that you can go to for help. And okay, I don't understand how to do this. Can you help me with it? And then they may ask you how you do something, and that's a great resource to have for anybody trying to learn.
Yep, absolutely.
And I know the Camera Club, they have their general meetings, and they have some great speakers, and they have great things going on there, but they also have special interest groups.
Yes.
I'm not sure how many they have. Four?
They have 4 different special interest groups. Yes.
And I know it's special interest groups. There's like learning your equipment, composition, some different things. And even though they're titled that way, there's still something different to learn each time. So it's not just like,
yes.
I don't know my equipment, I'm going to go this one time.
Yes. And I think when you start thinking about it, when we say learning your photo equipment, a lot of the topics that we've had have been, you might not think of as being your photo equipment, but we had one specifically on that mounting that we just did, which is how you mount your pictures. We had one on printing where we actually brought printers in and printed people's photos for them, and so showing them how to do printing and how to do printing inside a Lightroom and Photoshop to be able to get their prints out of it. We've done some where we do water drop photography, and we set up stations, and people could actually set up their camera and take pictures of water drops and splashing in water and stuff like that. With all of the equipment was set up for them, and all they had to do was bring their camera in and take the pictures. And it gives them an idea that this is something I could do at home. It's not something where you have to have a whole lot of equipment. And it's those kind of things are fun. And the biggest issue that I have is just trying to make sure that I'm covering stuff that people want, because people tend to be shy about saying, well, I'd like to see, how do I do this with my camera, or how do I do this with my lighting, or whatever. And so that's probably the hardest part. But that we've got some really good people who have helped on all these SIGs, and a lot of people are contributing to that. The special interest group for post-processing has got 3 or 4 people who regularly present at that one, including myself occasionally. But they have a lot of good people with different topics.
Yeah, I think that's neat. The only problem there is finding enough time to go to all of them.
That's true. Yeah.
There's always something on the calendar, which is really great. So if you can't make one, you can definitely make the other.
Yes.
I have a couple more questions for you. If you just want to stick with us through one more break.
Sure.
We'll be right back on Aperture and Shutter Speed.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, and we are looking for talk show hosts and volunteer DJs for our music shows. Are you interested in having your own talk show on Lone Star, or have you always wanted to live out your dreams of being a music DJ? With the addition of Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1 and video aspects of our talk shows, we are needing people to grow with us. If you or someone you know might be interested, please contact us online at irlonestar.com/contact us, or call the station at 936-647-5747 for more information.
Sunny day, oh yeah. I got an Nikon camera. I love to take a photo.
Welcome back to Aperture and Shutter Speed. I'm Chelsea Williams, and I've been talking photography with JT Thomas, and he's been telling us all about the Woodlands Photography Club and the Woodlands Camera Club and their special interest groups. I'm going to pick your brain really quickly here. Just a few more things. I have all these questions. I can't get them all out.
All right.
So I think one more great thing that y'all do at these clubs is kind of share your images together and have an open critique, right?
Yes.
And so hopefully that's not brutal.
No, and one of the things I have to say about both clubs is that people are not brutal and critical, and so when somebody is critiquing, it's more about you're showing a picture and somebody says, well, what would happen if you cropped it a little bit differently, or there's a distracting bright element at this corner, can you do something to change that, or what would that look like in black and white? And that's usually done in the composition SIG with Becky Anderson. She's an excellent photographer, and she does a great job at the composition SIG, and I learn more from that SIG than any of the rest of them. But one of the things that we do is there's a topic that we talk about one month, and then the next month people bring photos that kind of had to do with that topic, and then she'll cover a new topic at the start of the next month. And so after she's done with her new information, then we pull up the pictures that people brought from the month before's discussion, and we show them. And I bring them all into Lightroom. I show them in Lightroom, and as we're looking at them, people can go through and say, what would that look like in black and white, or what if you changed the contrast on it, or what if we did something to take out a distracting element in it. And literally, I'm working on the pictures as people are saying something, and so it not only shows a different way of looking at the same picture, but gives them an idea of how to improve their own photography on what they can do inside a Lightroom and actually make those kind of adjustments. So
Right.
it's a lot of fun.
Maybe something they wouldn't have thought of before until somebody else suggests it.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the one thing that it's not that we're trying to make the picture better, but it's more of hearing different people looking at the exact same photograph and saying, well, I think if you turn that one a little bit, or if we did something to crop it so that you're getting a different view of what the picture was, and I think everybody learns from that.
Right.
But it's not critical. Oh, this really looks terrible. You should have never taken it like that. That's not what happens.
Well, I think it's great that you have these communities. Y'all can help each other out. You got to tell me though. Y'all cut loose sometimes though and have a good time and laugh and
Oh, we do, absolutely. Yeah, it's everything's a good time. And we've tried to do several of the try to have a picnic every year. It got kind of rained out last year, but that's where everybody gets together. We just grill some burgers and everybody has a good time. It's not about the photography part.
Right.
But a lot of the trips that we do, I think you saw on my website where there was a Civil War reenactment, and that was up in Hempstead, and they have that every year. We went there as a photography group and took a bunch of pictures, and so it really is a lot of fun. Go to different things. We did a bayou trip where we went down to the Buffalo Bayou around downtown and got some pictures from a boat in the bayou up at some of the buildings that you don't get when you're walking around the streets. So that's well worth going for, and so it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know y'all had an anniversary party this year for some big anniversary, and that looks like fun too. I was sorry I couldn't jump in for that one.
Yeah, we had a couple of guys that came in for that, and Mike Hagan, and my mind's going blank on the other guy, but they were both, did some, not only did the club meeting, but they had some workshops that week, and so you could essentially go for 3 or 4 days and just day-long workshops. Now that wasn't provided by the club; you had to purchase the workshop events. But having those guys come in and do the one for the club, and then they did a walkabout in the Woodlands to take pictures, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think everybody got a lot out of that.
Right. And talking about taking pictures in the Woodlands and maybe here in Montgomery County, can you tell us what's your favorite place to shoot here locally? Do you have a favorite place?
Well, I mean, I like the Woodlands itself. I think the waterway down there's always different ways of taking it. The lighting is different down there. You don't have to go very far to be able to do that. And if you're in the Woodlands, there's some areas that a lot of the parks and the sculpture and stuff like that you can take pictures of here in the Woodlands. Montgomery County, there's several of us that have gone on trips where you just get in the car and you start driving some of the back roads and taking pictures of everything from old barns to cattle to whatever. And so there's never nothing to take a picture of. There's always something that you can take a picture of. And
honestly, I love to do that. I love to get in the car and not have any destination in mind and just start driving and be like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm going to take a picture of that. And you end up stopping all these different places. And I love that. Just not have anything in mind, just going out to see what you can find.
Yes.
I would definitely suggest that to anybody.
Yeah.
And Do you have any really fun summer ideas? Just a quick idea for a summer shoot?
Well, I've been doing a lot of trips back and forth to the hill country, and I think there's a lot of areas over in there that you can go for a day and take pictures around New Braunfels and Fredericksburg and Kerrville and up around in those areas, and just there's all kinds of stuff to take pictures of. A lot of parks. Rivers, waterfalls, that sort of thing.
I imagine in the summer it would be kind of fun and refreshing if you took some pictures tubing.
Yeah, you got to kind of watch your camera.
You might have to have a waterproof casing there, but
Yes.
that sounds like a really fun shoot. Just
I bet.
watching everybody tube along, and that would be great. Anyway, I'm glad we're having fun. I want to thank you for being on the show today and taking time out to be here with us. I really
My pleasure.
appreciate it. Everybody check out his website. Again, it's at jtphotographics.com. And if you have any questions or anything after the show, find us on Facebook. And listen, if you like this show, listen to other shows in our archives on irlonestar.com. Until next Tuesday at 12, keep on shooting.
If you took all the girls I knew when
Thanks for checking out this production on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, and TV media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production, produced by the show host and Dick Schisler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schisler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.